experienced in your own field, and especially in the education. So I'm not an expert in that. So what I'm trying to give you the context is about how the industry is actually doing things today. It's not really the future industry 4.0, but it's actually currently that's where we are living in. And I just want to give you the glimpse of it in the next 20 minutes odd. Um, just to give you, background, as far as my job is concerned, I help the education and the government organizations within India. I work with a lot of startups in the education field, as well as the universities and K-12 organizations, also the government organizations, skill development corporations. It's interesting how even these two big sectors within India actually adopting technology, especially the new ones. Um, it's been there, in terms of, though it is slight called out as an emerging technologies, it's actually something that's been there already, that all the customers, there are customers who actually build the solutions using these core technology areas, whether it is AI, augmented reality, VR or mixed reality, blockchain, 3D printing, drones, robotics, or Internet of Things. So I just want to give you a glimpse of, one of these each. But before I do that, at least from an AI point of view, you would have heard from a lot of this market, a lot of this buzz on how AI is going to be taking over a lot of these skills which are already there in the human capital today. Um, while while it is actually changing the way that the things are happening, but if you look at it, there's always going to be new ways of doing things, and it always simplifies the way that we are actually leveraging technology. AI actually is one of the areas, especially in the certain areas like image recognition or speech or language. There are three major areas where you actually see a specific improvement. Um, can anyone, maybe if you already know, there is a human accuracy average of detecting an object is about 90 plus or 95 on average, according to Stanford University. With the AI introduction of ML and DL, or the deep learning, the gap between what AI is able to do, that accuracy, versus what humans are doing, that gap is slowly reducing. In fact, there are a couple of instances, uh, the machine learning, the deep learning based image recognition models are on par with how humans are able to detect it. Same case in the speech as well, or in automatic speech recognition as well. Just one example here is this early detection of the diabetic complications just by looking at your retina and to see, is there a possibility of diabetes in the future. This allows doctors or the medical industry to be able to proactively able to guide their respective citizens to be able to work on that. So this is all possible because of the way that the advancement has done. Just by, there is something like, there's always a tendency from a human error, if you actually let, someone to look at it. You must be knowing what is the average attention span of a human being or a student. 10 minutes? Okay, so it's somewhere around like 5 to 7 minutes is what I read. Okay, we'll take 10 minutes. So what happens if you give this particular image on the 11th minute to him to actually look at it? The probability of looking at it is actually going to be reducing there. I'm not saying, there's always a human intervention in looking at how things can be done. That is the learning that we're going to take it and see how technology can actually take it to the next level. This is from a research point of view, but as you know, image recognition is something that the FDA already approved in US, which means that more and more organizations, whether it's healthcare or education or in other industries, they continue to be using those. The next one is also related to the image detection, but it's a combination of it. And if you take an example of a natural disaster scenario, like this is a flood scene where there's a sensor which actually looks at the water level, and the water level is like just slightly up. It detects that water level and invokes the camera to take a picture and sends it back to the cloud, and the cloud will just invoke a certain recognition service, image recognition service, to see is there any object there, what kind of object. If there is a car, or if there is a vehicle, or if there is a person within that flooded zone, then it will raise an alert and then inform others. So this is not something like a hypothetical or a proof of concept. This is something already working in some of the places already here. If you look at some of those smart city-based solutions, they're already using how the smart metering or how the smart parking, how the smart lighting, or how they're looking at those unattended objects in airports and railway stations and actually calling out there. So those are already happening today. Just while I'm talking about, just think about what does it take for a person who's actually out from the education to be able to apply their knowledge to able to achieve such a thing. That's something that I'll just leave it to you on it. While that is from a IoT and image recognition or artificial intelligence, where you can apply these supervised learnings or unsupervised learnings, or sometimes even the reinforcement learning is happening. The technology is changing from the machine-centric to the human-centric. So there are more and more people talking to each other, but more importantly, they're also talking to the some of the machines as well. Whether you talk about the Alexa, Cortana, Siri, or OK Google, they're actually spending a lot of time on those as well. With this text-to-speech service, with the way that the automatic speech recognition, ASR, is actually getting better. These neural deep learning models are getting better in the speech layer. The prosody, where the natural speaking way of these machines are actually getting better and better as it progresses, looking at all the things there. Just think in those lines to see how it's actually happening in the background of all these, and then how it's going to be impacting the future. So you're not just talking to your own, but you'll be talking to your refrigerator, micro oven, or some of those other machines within your own home as well. So the voice is going to be the next big thing, at least in the learners area, where they continue to use this, and the kids are actually spending a lot of time in it. We can debate on whether that's required or not, but it is happening there. And then even Byju's actually has the Alexa skill developed. Sadhguru has Alexa skill developed, so you can actually listen to those, or Hanuman Chalis also is there, of course. So speaking about these talking to the machines, or interacting with the machines, IoT is another big area which is continuously being seen across the world. Especially in the industrial, IoT is actually changing the way that you're seeing the manufacturing industry, how it is becoming this factory into a smarter factory, how they're actually effectively using their equipment to be able to increase the efficiency, or how they can actually look at those predictive maintenance or improving those. So all these things are happening with those operational technology and this convergence with this information technology. You're seeing this all kinds of possibilities of what an industrial IoT can do. So this is just an AWS point of view as to what all you could do, whether it is from a device fleet to be able to manage, or integrating with, again, AI and ML to be able to make the decisions based on the data that you collected there. So this is one example of an organization called Black & Decker, the Stanleys. They actually use this very heavy usage tools. So they actually use AWS to be able to send this information or IoT data to the cloud, the right amount of data, to be able to get the telemetry data, to be able to see, can I just look at this data, and then rather than visiting the place every time, can I actually resolve the issue while sitting here in my office? So that's how the things are happening, because even in this manufacturing industry, the so-called products that you have, now they're changing into the service model. Even if you look at the elevators are actually measured based on the number of times that they go on up, and based on that, actually the organizations are willing to pay money. The pay as you go, like the way Ola, Uber that you're looking at, that's the kind of model that they're going into, whether it's the financial or the technology, or the whole business model is actually building around that area. Now, while that is one area, so the other one is the augmented reality or the virtual reality. While the virtual reality has been there for quite some time and very popular in the gaming industry, we've seen that in the healthcare as well, in the way that you're training your employees, in the way that you're actually creating the simulations to be able to execute it, or doing the 3D printing or all. So now coming to the augmented reality, the retail industry is actually just taking the precedence and see, how can I actually take this experience of what I have to be able to give this, improving this customer experience. The personalization is the key here, was the retail industry or a hospitality industry or any of the other industry. People, even in fact, even in the education, as the personalized learning is one of the areas that people are actually working on as far as the education technology startups are concerned. So here is one example of the signage where an avatar is there. a person is just walking into the conference room, and then the sign is able to detect the person that his name is Alan, and is able to greet and then tell him or offer him the suggestion into the next level one there. So this is not something that's going to be featured. It is already there in a lot of conferences that I've been to. You can actually order a coffee, whether it's a Frappe or cappuccino or with skim milk, whatnot, and then you go up to that and then pick this coffee on yourself as well. So the things are changing. So one of the things very important in this retail industry or the e-commerce platform is it's very important to be able to increase that customer experience, and that's very important. And Amazon being one of those e-commerce provider, an aggregator for a lot of the suppliers, they kind of build all this to be able to give that much better experience on it. Now, talking about just moving slightly into a slightly different topic, which is a blockchain. So people would have heard of blockchain or the cryptocurrency or the bitcoins, and then although the bitcoins was popular, but the underlying technology underlying that is the blockchain. Though it is an early stage within India, we actually have seen a lot of customers or the fintech or the food tech companies actually started using it, building a solution for it. Take an example of Jiva Bhoomi or Footprint or Chipmunks in the fintech space. They're building the blockchain-based models to be able to give a far better and trusted solution. So what kind of problems are the blockchain is going to be solving? So I'll just quickly go through it in the interest of the time. One example is in the food chain. If you look at it, you would want to know, I mean, today if you're buying a milk or if you're buying some dairy product, you do not know where it is coming from. You probably would have seen it's an organic milk or organic rice, but you honestly do not know what it is, right? So as you actually consume these products, as you're actually getting aware of the information age, you would want to know the source of it. You would want to know the trust. You would want to build a trust with a particular company to be able to buy certain products. So that's very, very important. The trustworthiness is very, very important. So blockchain actually brings that. If you look at the current supply chain models, all these, the feeds are going into a cow and then milk and then going into your factory. All this entire process is actually captured in the supply chain software like ERPs. Large ERP systems are deployed, and that's where it's been there. But the ERP system is all going to be silo, and then you have a different system which is coming in to take care of some inventory management and then delivery management, and then there is the whole supply chain is going to be kind of very disconnected in each one of them. So, and also sometimes the RDBMS or the so-called databases that you are holding this information is not always going to be structured information that you're going to be holding it. So how do you actually ensure that you're able to build that immutability while this information or this data is changing, or while it is delivering it to the end user? How can you ensure that where it is started from, where it is ending, and how can you actually take this into a more immutable and more verifiable, and as a result you can actually increase the trustworthiness for the end customer? That's one thing that blockchain is going to address. It's not going to be only a food tech problem or a supply chain problem. They're looking at in much areas as well. So you can actually look at where all it's been happening. There are a ton of articles on the cloud on AWS as well. A lot of customers are using the blockchain. Now, just slightly moving to a different topic, I'm going to give you the example of Amazon. This is about the robotics technology combined with computer vision. The robots are there from third industrial revolution for sure, with those conveyor belts to how you optimizing them. But with the introduction of this machine learning and with the introduction of this data becoming the new oil as far as the asset is concerned, the people are always looking at this operational efficiency when they're looking at this entire logistic management. So Amazon actually uses for his warehouses these Kiva robots to be able to manage completely the warehouse, moving those items. When you order something, the Kiva robot know where to pick it from in that such a large 6 football feet a space that is out there. Autonomously the robot is going to bring it back to the person who's going to be pick up the order and then pack it for you and send it across to you. Not only that, we also have the drone delivery that we recently piloted them. And I don't know whether you are aware of it. There is something called a robo cart, which is autonomous cart that can actually walk on its own with image recognition on the street and stop at your doorstep, and you can unlock it, and then you can take your package from there. Think of this like a gated community, like a villas, where you can actually leave it there. It can take care of distributing it to all the places, which is secure and all. I don't know when it's going to come to India, but something is already there, piloted very recently in this month. The time that you order to the time that you would want to get the package, the time it takes for the entire the supply chain or the logistics to be able to, how do I optimize it? How do I simplify it? Now, if somebody is actually geared up to be able to work in such an autonomous place, then what kind of skills do we need? Something that you need to think about. It's not, the robotics are not only, the area is not only in that logistics area, but it's there everywhere. Especially the space in exploration, where it's very hard for you to be able to guide the rover where to go and how to address. But with the introduction of this reinforcement learning, and then the rovers are able to take decisions on their own and able to gain reach the goals where they want to, and all kinds of places where you can actually look at those. So whatever I talked so far are the case studies either from Amazon or from the AWS-based customers today. AWS, as some of you may know, is a hyperscale provider with millions of customers. In India, we have hundreds of thousands of customers in every sector, and they either leverage these IoT or AI or enterprise apps or hybrid infrastructures. So that's what the AWS is all about. Just to give you another background, if you are part of an university, or some nonprofit organization or a commercial organization looking at leveraging some research data, we have the tens of petabytes of research data that is available, even from a Digital Globe, which is the largest satellite commercial provider. This Landsat data or the Sentinel kind of a satellite imagery is available on AWS. And if you want to do any research on it, there is a program called Cloud Research Program that you can apply, and you can actually do research using this open data which is available on the registry. With that, just to summarize from an Amazon point of view, AWS is part of Amazon, and we kind of inherit those culture, innovation, and then we also work with a lot of these customers, especially in education space, whether education technology companies or universities or colleges or K-12 organizations. We've been working with them, and along with that, whether it is from a research point of view, we have those Landsat data or the open data that is available for you to do consumer one. So with that, I just want to introduce something good that's happening with the ICT Academy and AWS are partnered together to be able to drive this 1 month cloud literacy program, which is effective. I think it's going on now. So we would highly recommend you to encourage your students to be able to sign up to this enrollment process. And it's been done in the past as well with ICT Academy. We've seen a great success in it, where it's the students will have the opportunity able to understand the cloud, and with the cloud, they can actually open up to the multitude of the skill sets and as well as the capabilities out there, including the job portal as well. So that's about the fundamental of the cloud computing. And with that, I'll just leave you a note that my boss told. So thank you so much.